I think if you had to pick 2 or 3 passages from the whole gospel, from the whole Bible, as the most important, this would have to be one of them. It's the gospel I use most of the time when I do baptisms. They were often trying to trip Jesus up, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, trying to ask him trick questions so that they could get him to say something that was sacrilegious or went against something that Moses taught them so that they could have him arrested. And this is another one of those instances where they said to him, "So, teacher, tell us, which is the greatest of all the commandments?" But he didn't do what they thought he would do, is say, "Thou shalt not kill," or "Thou shalt not steal." He said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your strength and all your being. And love your neighbor as if it was yourself." You could almost see the Pharisees nodding their heads like, "Yeah, he got us again," because he was quoting from their own Old Testament. It's from the book of Deuteronomy. It's Deuteronomy 6. And it says, "Hear, O Israel." As a matter of fact, in Hebrew, it's called the Great Shema prayer, because it starts out in Hebrew, "Shema Israel, hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is the only God, and you shall love him with all your heart and all your strength." It goes on to say, "Teach it to your children, whether you're at home or away, at work or at rest." Literally, in the original Hebrew, drill it into them. The message is, it doesn't matter what's going on in our lives. God has to be first. And it's so important that we teach that to the children, to love God with all our heart and all our soul and all our strength. If I love you, I'm not going to steal from you. If I love you, I'm not going to judge you. If I love you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to talk behind your back. It's the underpinning of all of the commandments. I think that as tragic as this pandemic is, one of the good things about it is the chalkboard is wiped clean. We're starting with a blank slate. It's almost like what happened when God had the flood and Noah came back and he had to start from scratch. I think one of the things we have to recognize is that we've fallen into such disregard for God's rules and God's desires in our lives that now's the time to maybe rethink things. I had a parent one time say to me, "Well, I missed Mass this weekend, but it wasn't really a sin because I had to take my son to a soccer tournament and there was no time to go to Mass." And I said, "Yeah, that's still a sin." "Well, but there was no time to go. I couldn't go, and he had to go to the tournament." And I said, "And you're teaching your child that soccer is more important than God?" "No, I'm not." And I said, "Yes, it is. That's exactly what you're teaching them." And I know it's hard sometimes, and there may be times when it's physically impossible to go to Mass, whether because of sickness or something like that, or under ordinary circumstances, if you're a first responder and you're working shifts all weekend long, 12-hour shifts, and you can't get to Mass, you can't be held to the impossible. But I remember when I was little, my dad worked 2 shifts. He was a fireman in the Hill District. He worked from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. And this was before they had Saturday night masses, and there were no evening Sunday masses. He would make arrangements with one of his friends to stay on at work and cover for him for about 45 minutes so he could go to 7:30 a.m. Mass, take my sister and my mom and I back home, and then run over to Oakland to be at work. And they covered for one another that way. If you think about it, when we start up again, is it so much to ask that the athletic departments don't start tournaments until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning? Or make some time on Saturday evening or Sunday morning? Or even to when they have to go to a band festival at Disney to ask if a priest can come. They do it with the football players. The professional football players have what they call football masses. When they go into a new town, they get a hold of one of the priests that's local near the hotel, and they bring them in and have them do Mass. It's not that much to ask. And if you think about it, the people that make the rules and make the schedules are our school board and our athletic board members. And I guarantee you, many of them are Christians, if not Catholics. Just something to think about. But what's really important in our lives? And how do we let it be known? Even if we speak up and they say, no, we can't do that, at least we made the priority clear to everyone else that this is something that's important to me. And long after we're gone, our children and grandchildren will remember those things that were important to us. And even if they don't follow them, at least we've sown the seed. And it's up to God to make that seed grow. It's time we took back our world, took it back and claimed it once again for Christ.